Hello and welcome to Around the Ice, fantasy hockey podcast here on Fantasy in Frames. I'm Justin Taylor, your host. You can find me at JT Orange on the X or Twitter. With me tonight, Aaron Tomatich at Titch4141. No Brian Toast Clark tonight. Had other duties. Things happen here in the summer, but hey, me and Titch are going to bring it to you tonight. If you guys didn't get a chance to go back last week, I was out of town. I went to Lumineers concert in Indianapolis. Boom, dude, it was amazing. Great freaking show. I took my girlfriend for Christmas. I spent way too much on these insane seats. And then my girlfriend was like, these are the greatest seats ever. I was like, I want points. So I got points because I bought really great seats. We were like 5 rows, like center stage, like right up front. It was great. So great show, but I missed the redraft. As we went through, did a mock draft. You guys did it. So if you get a chance, you want to go back that, run through there, kind of skip through the rounds. I always like to do it, listen to a little talk, skip through, pause it, kind of see who went where and what rounds. We'll be trying to do a few more of those, either another redraft or categories or maybe a dynasty startup where we do like 10 rounds to kind of give people an idea where people are going on that. But we'll add that to the mix as we get going. If you haven't yet, please like us and subscribe. At Fifth Hockey on the X is our page for the show. Also, go to YouTube, follow us at The Stew with JT Brew, my personal page that these go on as well. But then also make sure you jump on our fantasy hockey page. So look up Fifth or Fantasy in Frames Hockey. Check that out on YouTube. Please go like, subscribe, leave us a comment. Tell us you love us. Tell us Aaron has a great beard. Whatever. Any of that stuff's good. But tonight, getting underway, we are going to talk about a few different things. We're going to throw you some stuff here on the off season. We're going to do some breakout candidates and also some impact rookies. So hockey's a little different, and sometimes these rookies come in, they don't play right away. You see them go back to Europe, you see them go to college, you see them go to the minors. But some of these guys, we've been watching them for a little bit. They're going to make a move here this year. And there are a couple guys in the draft that, Aaron, you're going to talk about. That are guys that are possible guys that kind of like Connor Bedard did years ago, came right in, drafted, went right to the pros, played in the big leagues right away. So we're going to kind of talk about just a few of those. You excited about the show? No, so you get to talk a ton tonight, man.
Yeah, and it's also red shirt night. So had Toast shown up, we wouldn't have told him it was red shirt. He wouldn't have fit in anyway. So yeah, excited about this one. I know JT, when you were putting together the show graphic, we chose Dylan Gunther, which is he made a name. His breakout season was last season, but just kind of an example of some guys that we've been kind of either kicking around on text or our group chat or our home league or whatever. That hey, across all platforms, Dynasty League, Cat League, Redraft League, these are guys that we're going to look at. Now it is a little bit different than like probably what we'll do leading into the season, kicking off the season, because these guys haven't even reported to camp yet. But I think most camps are mid-September, maybe early September. But obviously, we're still in the summer heat, literally. But once those camps kick off, it's whether you follow a home team, like maybe you play fantasy sports, play fantasy hockey. Most of us support a team, as you know, JT Detroit, Toast and I Chicago. Pay attention to the local, maybe if it's, and there's a million podcasts, just some guys to look at, even if you keep it local, but you can really tap into anybody's, the team reporters. You already shouted it out here on Twitter. I mean, it's everywhere. You can just put, Chat GPT and hey, what's the top 5 or 6 sources for Dallas Stars prospects or something. Our friends over at Dauber, awesome website, probably the most in-depth hockey whether it's farm system or development, those guys nail it. So all that's available, but again, just guys you want to keep an eye on as we go into camp. There's always, unfortunately, and this is the kind of the whole thing with fantasy sports, whether it's somebody blowing out a knee, or who is I know JT, you're like the king of the fantasy football. What is JJ McCarthy? Who was the one that blew out his knee? The quarterback.
Yeah, JJ McCarthy last year got
Yes.
hurt
Yes.
first preseason game. People were real hyped about him. Got hurt. Obviously, if you picked earlier in the summer, you were in trouble. If you picked late in the year, you knew to avoid him. I actually used that to my advantage in a couple leagues where he would have went way higher, but the injury news had come out. People skipped on him, and I had really good teams, and I took him to stash him for the year. So that's something to think about too. Here,
Yeah.
we're not going to go through those guys in this episode for hockey, but it is definitely something to consider. Guys that maybe are injured, hurt. Like you said, this is early in the summer, so we're really giving you like some sleeper guys, some guys we have our eye on. Not all these guys are going to hit, but some of these are guys we're looking at. Like I'm either going to trade for in a dynasty league. If I'm in a redraft or cats league, I might go out and try to get these guys. I'll put them on my wish list or check them and throw them in my queue. If I'm drafting a league, there's a guy I might want. All this stuff's going to change over time, but we're trying to give you like an early look at some of the guys you think about. Obviously, we get closer to season. We're going to do some of our favorite plays, some of our favorite combos, some of those things. But we're trying to get some names out there to you because people draft at all times of year now. It's all different times of year. I know us. I'm in a million football leagues. So we try to tend to draft early if we can in our draft because we have so many guys in our hockey league that also do a ton of football leagues. We try to not make it where we're trying to do a hockey draft during football because it ends up becoming an issue for a lot of guys. So we used to do it on a Sunday night football season early in the year when we had a keeper league, but we went to Dynasty this year in our home league. And so it was nice because we could do the draft a little bit early. We basically did it like, a week after, 2 weeks after the actual NHL draft. We kind of jumped right on it. So that was the nice thing there was to kind of get that one out of the way.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned a couple good strategies there. Yeah. So let's say one of these guys that we call out tonight, let's say, that just the worst case scenario happens and he misses a good chunk of the season. You see it a lot in hockey. Obviously you see it probably a lot more devastating injuries in football, but whatever it is, again, if you go into it with a strategy, you can probably come out on top, or like you said, with JJ McCarthy, ended up taking him when everybody else was like, no, hard pass, just totally took him off their radar. And he slips way further, even with an injury. The other thing that you had mentioned with most of the fantasy hockey, you're going to have some sort of queue. So you mentioned the queue too. So some of these guys, you put them at the bottom of the queue. You let some of these other guys kind of, go ahead of time. And just a little reminder, just, flag some of these guys that we're about ready to go through and save them for the later rounds. It's kind of a little bit of gamesmanship of what round you break them out into, but it really is that's kind of what we're after, is getting these guys, getting them in on your radar, following them through the camp, seeing how they do and seeing what they do in the preseason too. Hockey preseason isn't too terribly bad. You usually get a pretty good barometer of what you get in the season. So looks like
does it start off here? Let's Aaron, you got me or am I out?
You see me? Second here. Sorry for anybody listening or watching live here. Looks like we've got a little bit of a connection issue. All right, going to give JT just a second to get back on here. Looks like we're still up and on. Oh, looks like he's coming back in. There he is.
Sorry about that, everybody. All of a sudden, I just lost everything for a minute there. I'm not sure what happened there.
It's the heat.
It has to be. It's been brutal, especially where we're at here in the Midwest. Aaron, to jump into things here, since everybody's kind of got rookies on the mind, because we just had the NHL draft, not the greatest way to watch the draft on TV. If anybody watched, a lot of people complained about it. Hopefully, they fix that here going forward in the future. But there were some really exciting players that came off the board. So let's talk about that. Who's your first impact rookie that you want to talk about? A guy, and just remember on some of these guys, it could be guys that are first-year rookie guys that just got drafted, but these are also guys that could be rookies coming in their first season. They're either coming out of college or drafted a couple years ago, played in the minors the last couple years, and now they're officially going to be on the main big roster. So, Aaron, who we start out with tonight?
Yeah, and what I've done and what we've got these impact rookies. I've got 5, so kind of scattered around the board. And to your point, JT, some of these guys were drafted in this past NHL entry draft. Some of them actually have seen NHL ice time, but less than say 10 games. So that was kind of the criteria going into this. Who do, based on what we know or based off what we saw, even if it's a brief NHL career or no NHL games at all, who do we think is going to maybe show up on the radar, crack the lineup, those types of things. But more than that, if they do crack the lineup. So again, I refer back to Dauber. Dauber has an NHL certainty score and then an NHL fantasy upside score, which I love. So it's kind of a similar thought pattern to that. So if this guy cracks the NHL, which, some forwards maybe need a little work on the defensive side of things, defensemen, it's, got to be pretty sound on defense if you're going to play at the NHL level. Can't let those guys get around you, blow the doors off you. But kind of looking at those high, I would say medium risk but high reward guys. So first guy we're going to go kind of a bottom feeder team, or what I anticipate will be a bottom feeder team. It's to no surprise Pittsburgh Penguins, but Rucker McGroarty, who he was in this past draft. He had already been drafted, but there is potential this year that he could play line one with Sid, of course, Sidney Crosby and Brian Rust, which it's a pretty solid line. Obviously, two skilled veterans. Rust had a great year last year. 35 goals, maybe. Sidney is just just setting the clock back. I mean, I don't know what this guy is. Set a record, for 100-point seasons, consecutive 100-point season, which the prior holder was Gretzky. So 2 Gretzky records went down last year. One we all know about. The other one was Sid. But with what I like about Rucker is again, he's sniffed the NHL. Had I think 8 or 9 games, maybe 10. So he's had his time there, but he's also played it in a professional league. He's played in the NHL. AHL. He had 39 points in 60 games in the AHL on a decent team. The Scranton team, Wilkesboro Scranton team, the Pittsburgh affiliate, and he's 20 years old. So potential for him to be a line one guy, which always gives you a significant time on ice. I mean, if you're line one, you're probably 15, 16 minutes time on ice per game. Also an open spot on the probably what would be the second power play. I'm not sure if he'd be thrown up there on the first power play. That said, Pittsburgh's power play for the past 2 years running has been atrocious. So just because he's on the power play doesn't mean they're going to get any more goals, but the opportunity's there, and I think it's for the taking. I like what I've seen, and the whole last thing I'll say about Rucker is he's been up and down. I mean, he was a top 5 prospect. Like, hey, this guy's him. He's the next one. And then he kind of faded out, and then he cracked the lineup at the end of the year last year, and we started hearing the hype about him again. So I think out of camp he's got a really good chance. Well, I think he'll make at least the bottom 6. Likely the top 6, but I really like his potential to be line one on with 2 incredible players. So we'll see. The rest of Pittsburgh's going to suck ass. They're going to be terrible. They're going to miss the playoffs, but nothing to say this guy can't get 25 goals, 25 assists, which would be huge at a late 10th round.
Yeah, this is my favorite time to buy these guys that were former super high draft picks. They maybe didn't hit right away. People start bailing on them because that's just the way people are. They're like, oh, this guy sucks.
Yesterday's.
People just start bailing on them, and that's when you can go and get these guys in a trade, pick them up off the waiver wire. If you're a league that has minors, maybe this guy, he's still on their minor eligible. you go grab him. Here's the thing that makes me think that he could have a good year, and it's not just him. But remember, we got a breakout from Ricard Raquel last year.
Yes.
On this same team. And
Yes.
part of the reason was he got a chance to play with some good players on a bad team. That can be fantasy gold.
Yes.
You know, we got to remember that sometimes. Not always like, hey, the teams might not always be good, but like you can score points on a bad team still. And that's why I love this one from you. When you brought him up, I was like, oh, this is sneaky because of what Raquel did last year. He got hot. And then McGroarty just seems like the guy, if he gets a chance to be on a line, like you said, with two studs, I mean, the team overall is not good. It still has some talent. They're just not deep anymore. They're just not. But you get some decent guys. And again, you playing with an all-time great like Crosby. If you get a chance to get online with that, that's got to be exciting, you know, especially for a guy you're thinking like I'm taking round 10 later, you know, a guy I'm taking late in drafts. People are going to forget about him. I maybe get, you know, maybe I get a slow start, but I hold him and then he starts hitting for me. That's the type of guy I like in this situation. So I like this guy, Rutger McGroarty. Love bringing him up. Again, sometimes we forget about these guys on bad teams, but are in actual decent situations. So I thought it was a great one to start out with there, Aaron. Next guy, we've got a couple people, big fans in our home league of this guy, Ivan Demidov. Tell me why you think he's going to be an impact rookie this year.
Yeah, I mean, he got a lot of. He played 2 NHL games in Montreal. You know that is the world stage for hockey. I don't care what country you're from. I don't care about anything. They have the best crowd. They have passionate fans. They've got a deep well of talent now. Their defense is shored up. The guys that got in net, Montembeault, Dobish, looking good. I mean, it looks like the Montreal of old, so I really like what it is. But I can't think of, and a lot of guys in Montreal, they get overhyped, just because, Toronto, Montreal, these huge hockey meccas, they get a lot of hype. Some of it's deserved, some of it's not. Some of them like the spotlight, some of them don't. But when this guy kind of got out, I don't know the politics behind it, but got out of his KHL contract with St. Petersburg, and then it was rumblings that he might come over, and then he came over, and then he played 2 games, and of course he tucked a couple goals. So this guy, and he's got the, he's like a modern shooter, like I think the term deceptive shot is overused. Like as soon as Connor Bedard came on, we all saw his YouTube video. He's, deking around tires and shooting a puck, and he's hitting, little targets, whatever. And then you hear, Dylan Gunther, another one, up and comer. I've already talked about him to death, but some of these guys, it's a term that can get overused. But this guy really is truly, again, they're tough to get. The KHL, there's not a whole lot that makes it out of the Iron Curtain. But if you can get a highlight reel, he's got a couple of pretty cool goals that he scored on. And again, this is a 19-year-old playing with, full-grown adults, either ex-NHLers or guys that probably should be in the NHL. They just, prefer the KHL money, or they stay in Russia. So he's playing against NHL level talent. 49 points in 65 games, and again, just again, well, I guess a similarity. They're both Russian, but kind of the hype that Michkov came over with as well when he kind of made his splash last year with the Flyers. I look at this guy, but I look at the surrounding cast. When I look at those 2 guys, I say, okay, there's a lot of talent that surrounds Demidov in Montreal versus the Flyers, and they've got some good young guys, but they don't have the talent that Montreal has. They're ready to go now. And the additions they add, Noah Dobson, they shored up the back end. He's a real good north-south passer. He'll get this guy the puck. And Martin St. Louis, great coach. He's a crafty little guy. He used to skate around. He lets the players play. So you're not worried about him. Oh, you're a rookie, you're not going to get time. No, the guy, he skated. He got his minutes when he came over. So I'm super excited. Toast is in love with this guy, as he is with most of the guys that he gets that are all happen to be Russian. It's just like he's got an inside track.
Yeah, he's on this Russian kick, man.
Oh,
he just is like, it's like now he's starting. He's like, I just want all the Russians on my team. He's like going. I was just gonna say, if you don't have Demidov in a Dynasty league, he could be real tough to get because whoever has him probably loves him. He is a guy. This is when our home league was a keeper league where we keep 3 or 4 guys in the round we drafted him. This would be one of my favorite guys to take. I'd wait till like mid rounds. You got your starters in there. No guarantee on how much time he's going to get right away or anything.
Right.
But man, you take this guy like maybe in round like 15, 16. And if he hits this year, you get to keep him in that round. That's one of my favorite things. Or if you're doing just straight redraft, no keeper, you maybe wait on him a little bit longer. Maybe you wait just a hair longer on him. I think he's worth a shot against some of these guys. If they hit, they're going to crush for you. If they don't, you can always go out there and get somebody else later on off the waiver wire. But yeah, he's the type of guy. I remember early on in our home league, way back in the day, I got Draisaitl in like round 20 in a keeper league. I was like, the next year I was like, oh, it was like it just came to the draft. It was like it just freaking Christmas. I was like, oh, Draisaitl round 20. Okay. So like if you're in a keeper league, these are the guys I love to keep an eye on. I'm going to fill my lineup early with guys I know are going to get me points. I know I'm going to be in the mix. But man, those late rounds, I want to take a shot on all these guys. Even if you end up dropping 5 of them because they don't hit or they get sent back to the minors or whatever happens, if they hit, you get to keep them at such a cheap cost. It's if you would do that in your keeper league. I'm a huge fan of that, keeping guys in the round you drafted them in, because that, to me, that is a benefit for the person that drafts well and takes a shot on younger guys. So I'm always for that. Commissioners out there, if you can figure out how to do that. We run formats where you couldn't do it. Fantrax does allow you to do it, so that's really nice. They will let you put the keeper in on the round. If you're in a league that doesn't, what we used to always do is tell people we'd put it out right away. Hey, this guy's going this round. Don't take him. And then the commish would automatically put him in that round for that. So it is possible. But so much young talent on that Montreal team. Even if they don't win, they should be an exciting fantasy team. Next guy up here, a lot of talk about him from us so far. I had the shot to take him twice in 2 different leagues. I didn't take him first in the Bangers League, but I took him first in the Cats League. So let's get to him. Let's talk about why you think he could be an impact guy, even as a rookie, Michael Misa.
Yeah. And until we discussed this on the pod, you had a very solid defense for why you skipped him, and you sold me on it. So I get it. And I would say 9 out of 10 leagues, you don't want to do that. You want to take Michael Misa. Probably first and foremost. And we've talked again, past pods, we've talked about the Sharks specifically, kind of looking at Sharks and Hawks. Okay, here's some guys that have, they kind of lit the match and burned it down to the ground. Who's going to come out on top? Who's going to make this and that? And Sharks built, forward back. Hawks have built from the net up. So, we'll see who wins. But Michael Misa just speaks to that whole Mike Greer's concept of what he's doing with his team, the vision for his team. Are going to score, try to score 100 goals a game and beat you 100 to 99. Hopefully they can stop one more shot than they, or score one more goal than they let in, is kind of how I see him. And this guy fits that mold. He's, again, I'd say, hands, quickness, a lot like Demidov, who we just talked about. And Misa really caught fire. Well, he was hot all year, but really second half of the year. Last year when he played in OHL, but he almost had a goal per game. I when I was kind of looking at some of the stats today to kind of back up how these guys, looks like statistically, not getting too deep like with Corsi and Fenwick and all that other stuff, but just kind of high level. I didn't realize 62 goals in 65 games. I mean, that's it's OHL. It's not the Dub. It's not I think it's a slightly more skilled league than the Quebec league, but nonetheless, it's still not easy to do what he did. And for him to kind of leapfrog a lot of the other names, because I mean, obviously up until the really midway point of last year, like I said, when he really caught fire, we were all talking about James Higgins as being Schaefer came on late too. Obviously he was then the consensus, and ultimately ended up being the 1-1. But everybody, okay, it's got to be Higgins, and then Higgins ended up dropping, and Misa was the guy, and what his performance was done was a big part of that. What he was able to do. So the last thing I'll mention about him before I kick it back over to you, because we both have a stake in this, because in our dynasty, our complete dynasty league, I had the 1-1 pick, and I went with Misa. I passed on Schaefer. I went with Misa. I need a little bit more help with that. For me, it wasn't really a choice. Be honest, I could use a little help on defense. But I'm looking at forwards in that league, and this guy just stood out, and I can't wait. And I already have Will Smith and Celebrini, so there's that whole San Jose. I'm going to live and die with the Sharks here over the next 10 years or whatever. But yeah, I'm really, really, really excited to see him. I think he's got a legit shot of making the roster, and what he has to that advantage is San Jose very top heavy with their talent. Again, forwards are there and prevalent now, but they've got the room. He can make the bottom six. He can crack the lineup and then work his way into a line 2 guy, and maybe even line 1. We'll see. I'm just really excited to watch him play.
Yeah, so a couple of breakdowns is for everybody kind of wondering. We talked about this in other shows, but we'll bring it back. So we have a couple different leagues here. We have our home league, which is a dynasty league. We've got a dynasty cap league that me and Toast are in together, and then me and Aaron and Toast all are in a Dauber league, which is a cat league. So a little bit different on the drafting depending on what league you're in. So our Black Aces dynasty salary cap league, Misa went number 1, Schaefer went number 2, Higgins went 3. What was it? Martone went 4.
Oh yeah,
and
yes.
And then Desnoyers went 5 in that league all the way. Martin ended up going. Brady Martin went 6, and actually Anton Frandel went 7. Now in our home league, because we are more of a bangers league, that Black Aces league is not quite as defensive hit heavy as all that. If you go back and look at our league, our home around the ice dynasty league, I actually had the number 1 pick, and this was a combination of a lot of everything hitting me. I'm a huge fan of the Swedish guys. I always take the Swedish guys, but Toast takes the Russians. Anton Frandel, he ended up going number 3, the Blackhawks. That was another selling point for me. And then I just watched video of him. He's a big guy who has a chance to really add on, only 18. He went number 3 in the draft. I think he has a chance to be a really good two-way player that actually can score, but also hits and blocks. I think he could be a possible, even if he ends up not being a top overall scorer points-wise in the NHL. In our hits league, I think he has a legit shot to be a top 20, possibly a top 10 guy a couple years down the road. Obviously, he's still 18. He's still got to grow. Chances are he's probably not going to play with the big league this year. He'll sit in the minors for the most part. But he's a guy, I just like what he has. And with our type of league, and you break down our scoring, if you can get forwards that could somehow get you, somehow get you in that 60-point range, if you can get 25, 30 goals, 25, 30, 35, 40 assists, and then you can add in 100 hits and 80 blocks, you can just score so many points in our league. Yeah. So that's the only reason I went with him. It was the tiebreaker. The fact that he was Swedish, he went to the Blackhawks at 3 was the only, and that being in that league, it sold me on him. So just to kind of give everybody a little heads up of why I did that. But then I was looking here, Toast, Aaron, I was trying to find our Dauber league real quick. So in the Dauber league, I had the number 1 pick in this one. I did take Misa because this is a categories league. Yeah. I needed help across the board. So he went 1, Shaver went 2, Martone went 3, Higgins went 4. This one, Frandel went 5. So you've seen him. He's gone from 1, 5, and 7. So we've seen that Desnoyers went 6, where he went 5 in the other league, and then O'Brien actually went 7 in this league. So you can see there's a little bit of movement depending on what type of league you're in. Still a lot of the top guys at the top. some of it was just taking guys where you can get them. In our categories league, went center heavy.
Yeah.
I took center 4 out of our 5 rounds. I took center because I needed guys that could do a little bit of everything. I took over an orphan team, needs some help. So I was like, I'm going to take some young guys that can do a little bit of everything. Win me face-offs, can play both ways. So that's kind of where I went with that one. So Aaron, just to break it down to people, why did you go where? That's kind of difference. And that's something we always talk about on this show.
Yeah.
Look at what type of league you have and look at the scoring because it does make a difference. Now, the studs are usually going to be the studs.
Yeah.
Typically, they're the studs, but there is some big differences with some guys depending on the type of league you're in. So always take a look at that. If you got a question, obviously, you can always hit us up. Dauber's always a great resource for that. But yeah, always look into that stuff because you can't a guy that's a top 10 guy in one league and he's like top 50 in another league, depending on how they're scoring it.
Yeah, 100%. Because when you did that breakdown of those 3 leagues, you shuffled around the same 5-6 names, but there's definitely a distinct order, and that's all based on that scoring system. So yeah, 100%.
Next guy we got on the list, our 4th guy out of 5 of our impact rookies, Sam Renzel, a Blackhawk. Shot. We got to have one in the show, or it doesn't count. Show doesn't count if we don't have a Blackhawk. Let's talk a little bit why you like Sam.
Yeah, and Sam, he's one of those guys. He came on late last year, so he got a little sniff of the NHL, kind of like our guy Demidov and our first guy there, Rucker McGrody. So he's seen the chell, as they say. The thing I like about Renzel is he's that right-handed, right side defenseman, which didn't realize until just a few years ago how much of a rare commodity those guys are. But he's got the right frame for it. 6'3", 180 pounds. He's got a cannon for a shot. He played his college hockey 2 years at the University of Minnesota, which again, so as JT mentioned, we're in the Midwest here. We've got the Big Ten network. They've got, primarily we watch football, watch all UI games, but they also do have hockey on Big Ten. You can also find it on ESPN, ESPN Plus. They really expanded their hockey coverage this year. So, and then I think with the new rules with the NCAA hockey, where you don't lose eligibility. You can play in the junior leagues up in Canada. You can still play in the NCAA as you get older if you're looking for that level of competition. But it's just ramping up the competition. Like the clear number one, Gavin McKenna is playing it at Penn State. So again, that's a Big Ten school. We'll get to see some of his games, which will be fun.
Yeah, that's gonna be. I'm pumped to see him. Right, like even if you don't catch the regular game, they're pretty good about playing replays like later at night. And for us guys, we're always watching the late night shows. So I'm pumped about watching him. But I actually am loving that rule because what you'll see is you'll see guys that when the college season ends, they'll jump on their minor league affiliate, play a couple games, finish out, play the playoffs there, maybe play, up a league and then come back for the season. I'm all for that. It should be more wide open. It should be a little more. These kids should be able to keep playing. Hey, once season's done, let me jump on that other team. So I love that. And if you're looking at some of these college kids, you're like, man, he's crushing. Then you get to go see him play a little bit in one of these minor leagues programs. You're like, okay, he got 12 points in 14 games in the minors at the end of the season. Like, okay, he rolled right over. So rolled right into it and just kept it going. So I do love that adjustment has been made because we all know hockey is a little bit of a different beast than everything else. These guys have spent their whole lives moving, playing for different teams throughout the same season, jumping around. So a little more used to it than it is like a football team. Like, oh man, I can't go play for another football team. Like right now, I don't know anything. Yeah. These hockey kids are a little more used to it. They spent so many times on a junior national team or at this camp or this elite all-star thing and then playing for this guy. So I definitely do like seeing that. It gives us a little more look at some of these guys, especially if you're in areas where you don't watch a lot of not a lot of areas have college hockey. So it's like if you can catch some of this other stuff, it's kind of nice to see.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And all that exposure, what it boils down to is if you're in a league or two, or like you said, JT, we tend to be, I mean, it's 9 o'clock right now, and I could talk about this all night, but what you, me, and Toast, we're always watching the late games, whether it's the Oilers, the Sharks, whoever. So I like that too. And like you said, the replays, but what does all this mean? Like, who cares about any of this? Well, what it means is you can get exposure to these guys. And here's what really stood out about Renzel when I was watching these University of Minnesota games when he played there for 2 years. It's an understated quality. Most people in the NHL can do this, but it's the slap pass. You wind up for a full shot. You're going to put everything you got into this shot. It's going to stay about maybe 3-4 inches off the ice, maybe even lower. But what you're aiming at is you're aiming at a forward stick. You're aiming at his knee pads. You're aiming at something. You're not shooting that puck to score. You're hitting it with everything you've got. But you're not trying to snipe top shelf from the blue line. That's very hard to do. There's probably 10 guys in our lifetime that can do that. And Cale Makar may be the only modern day guy that can consistently do it, or Quinn Hughes maybe, but they're not shooting to score. They're shooting to assist, or they're shooting to get that first assist, that primary assist. So um, again, it's a talent that most develop, most have, but when you've got it at 18, 19, or you're playing college and you see it, and that's really what stood out with Renzel, was he was up there playing a team game. It's a team sport, it's a team game. You hear that over and over in the NHL, and man, he's just out there looking for blades. You get that blade, you get the angle on the blade, you get a forward that can go out there, and these guys can deflect now with anything. I mean, everybody's seen the videos of Pavelski, Joe Pavelski, who's since retired, but that dude in warm-ups and practice, I mean, he wasn't the most skilled guy. He played till he's about 100 years old. He couldn't barely get up and down the ice, but he could deflect pucks like nobody else. And he'd wait till those guys, they rip it with everything they got, and boom, goal, goal, goal. And that's what this kid's got. So I'm excited to see it. There's rumors
super
right
underrated
now.
skill, right? Super
It is.
underrated
It
skill
is.
to score on deflection, because that's hockey. It happens.
Right.
Like, everybody loves the beauty, like one timer, the guy that dekes, goes top shelf. I mean, those are pretty ones, but man, how many times is the game winner the one that guy just right off the edge of his stick, just tips it in right over the edge of the shoulder, like tips it 5-hole. It happens all the time in hockey, and sometimes you can get some really nice fantasy players that aren't maybe the prettiest players out there sometimes, but they got skills that do those things that help you, especially like you're bringing up right now, young defensemen, which are very hard to figure out, very hard to get. It's nice to kind of go get these guys and stash them. Even if you're in a dynasty league, depending on how deep your dynasty is, there's a chance Renzel's out there where you could go grab him, stash him. And if he ends up being one of the higher end of the guys on the team, again, because we're always looking at some of these teams, these rookies are not going to make the top 6 on really good teams competing for the championship. But these young teams, these teams are bad, there's no reason not to give these guys looks. So that's something you got to look at. And what you want to do is be the first guy to the show, right? You want to be the guy that shows up and gets that guy before everybody else is like, that guy could be really good. And he's only 19 or 20. Like, yeah, I already got him, dude. Because that's my favorite. Like, I go and I look for a player and I'm like, he's always already on somebody's roster, but that feels so good when they're not. And you're like, oh, waiver wire pickup. Boom, I'll take him. I love that. It's my favorite.
Yep, for sure.
Last impact rookie, or did you have one more thing you wanted to say about Renzel?
Oh no. That's I've talked up our Blackhawk. I've met the requirement. Right, Toast is out, so I told him I'd talk up one Blackhawk. Right.
So we'll talk about our last impact rookie, and then we're going to talk about some breakout season candidates, some guys that maybe lower on people's lists, but could end up being actually pretty significant for fantasy reasons. Last rookie though, breakout rookie, possibly impact. Zane Parecki? Is it? Parekh?
Yeah, Parekh. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and this guy he plays for Calgary. Right now where it stands going into camp, he's not projected to crack the lineup. I don't know why. Calgary's got jack shit for defense, so this guy should make the lineup. Maybe there's something else going on. I don't know. The one thing that kind of when you're looking at defensemen, and we talked on this, or we touched on this on the draft that we had, the simulated draft where Corey jumped on, and then uh,
Did you guys have
Martini
Martini
jumped
on that
on it.
one?
Yeah, we had Martini. He killed it. I think his team, I think he won the award for best team. But anyway, so they were on, and we all had a discussion about defensemen. There was one thing. So we had 4 people on, and we all just took a flyer on defense. We took the top tier, took McCarr and Hughes, and then we're like, eh. So it was funny because we're all thinking the same thing. The reason why I bring that up is because unless they have kind of that offensive gift, um, again, you got to look at this. If you're in a bangers league, okay, that's going to change it. You're in a category league like JT and I are in. You look at block shots, you look at giveaways, takeaways. Make sure you know that. But if you're in a redraft league, typically defensemen only pitch in when they're on the score sheet, so goal or an assist. So that's why I listed him, Zane Parekh. He is an offensive D-man. He follows a lot of what I just talked about with Renzel. He's 19 years old. He actually played on the same team as Misa. So he's probably feeding him a lot of those assists. But 33 goals in a year, the season, which tied the record for that team for goals from a defenseman. So he's got that offensive pickup. He can dance around like a little water bug on that blue line. If you ever watch Quinn Hughes, play just moves down that his east to west movement on that blue line is just it's poetic. That's this guy. So I would say that probably if he doesn't come out of camp and make the team, he'll make the team by November. That's typically crunch time. By then Calgary will be eliminated. They'll be dog shit, whatever. Get this guy to get him. So I know he's 19, or maybe he'll turn 20 by the time the season starts. But just get the kid ice time because he could be fun to watch. Put him way down. If you take Parekh, maybe second to last round, this could be that, like JT just said, that low risk, extremely high reward. If you're in a dynasty league, he's probably already gone because it's a big name. It's a big name.
Yeah,
We'll see if he breaks
but like
up this
Jamie
year.
said, or like Aaron said, he's probably gone. But if you're in a new startup dynasty, these are the guys you need to mark. You need to mark down, especially if you're in a league that can move guys up from minor leagues to back and forth, or a salary cap league where you can move minor leaguers back and forth. These are the guys you want to target because these are guys you want to hold on to. We've seen elite defensemen. If these guys make it as a defenseman, you're going to get 10, 15 years out of them, maybe if you're lucky. Like, jump on some of these guys, grab them early, hold on to them. We don't talk about defensive men enough in fantasy. It's just the way it works. But I like both those guys. Let's jump in. We're on the last half of the show here. Let's jump into our breakout season candidates. We're only talking about forwards on this one, though. So rookies, we talked about some defensemen and some offensive guys. Forwards, this is only forwards here. We'll talk about some other guys later on. Give me your number one guy on your list here that you got an eye on.
And number one, and yeah, you're right. Forwards only. Keep this probably pretty short because these are all people we've all heard of, whether we're redraft or dynasty or cat league. None of these are going to come as a surprise. These are just based on right now or what we saw towards the end of the year, and these are guys that are could jump off. First, number one by far, Cutter Gauthier. The controversy with the Philly and all that stuff. He's played with some nerves. He's settled down. Anaheim's on the up and up. The thing that I really liked about Cutter, 10.5% shooting in the NHL. So that's pretty low. Average NHL shooting usually sits between 11 and 14%. Getting shots on net. I mean, you can deep dive into his stats and see if he's missing the net, what he's doing. I mean, I didn't go that far. I just went straight up how many of his shots that hit the net or hit the goalie go in. 10.5 is relatively low, especially for a guy that has a shot like him. His power play average game. So that's the number of minutes you play on a power play over the course of a 60-minute regular season game. He's averaging a minute 32. So that puts him like at a line 2 for last year. I see that as a huge increase. He'll probably double that. And he really improved his two-way game. We've said it to death. We talk to it at death all the time. what keeps a forward out of the lineup in the NHL is if he can't skate backwards, if he can't play defense, or if he can't cover the point. Coaches will never ever play these guys. I don't care how many goals they score. You get benched. He's improved massively on that. He's a blue chip. He's always been highly touted. This is the year. I could see 30 goals. 30 goals if he gets his power play time, easy for Cutter.
Here's the thing about Cutter, and I've talked about this with a few other guys. I don't think people, I think it's people underestimate when you're in some of these bigger East Coast cities for some of these Eastern European guys. It's just, it's just not a good fit. It's not a good fit. The pressure, the fans, and sometimes they move West Coast where it's just a little more gentle, a little more sunshine.
Yeah.
They hit a little bit better.
Yeah.
I tell you what, Philly's a hardcore town, man. That's a lot for a Swedish guy. It's a lot for a Swedish guy. Anaheim, this could be such a good fit for him. I said the same thing last year about Capo Capo. And when the Rangers, I was like, he went to Seattle. I was like, ooh, I'm liking this. I'm like, he's gonna have no pressure on him in Seattle. He's gonna go to Seattle, and they're like, if he gives us something great, because he was like top pick, but we didn't trade a ton for him. And like a dude from Finland, like small town of Finland, you're like, it's a better fit, a little bit better fit sometimes, instead of having the New York media all over you. So I think this is a nice move, man. I really do. I think Anaheim's not good. We know this. He could definitely come out and crush this year. Former number 5 overall pick. The dude has done nothing but be good. I mean, when he helped Boston College to the NCAA championship game, 65 goals in 41 games. Beast led the NCAA in game-winning goals, 10 game winning goals, excuse me. I mean, I like this move. Like Anaheim, like again, you're like, I'd much rather see this guy on Philly, but it might be better for fantasy purposes to have him on Anaheim, where he can go out there and skate a little bit. So I'm in on this move. We've seen Philly can be a hard place to play for some of these guys. I think he moves out West Coast. He gets that sun in his face, and he loves it there, and he kills. So I love this call. This is one of my favorite calls, honestly. I just think he another guy that if people are a little down on him because he wasn't great and then they traded him, go now, bite now, like ask for a trade. Hey, you interested in moving him? What do you think? I mean, I've seen the same thing on the other side of this. He was traded crazily for Jamie Drysdale, a second rounder. I'd people banging down my door for Jamie Drysdale a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Like early on, they were like, can you trade him? And I was like, yeah, let me think about it for a couple years. Let me look. So like some of these guys, when they're 18, 19, they first come out, everybody's all over them. You give them 2 years of not like crazy scoring, and people are like, you're out on a 20-year-old.
Yeah.
It's like you're out on a 21-year-old. Like, what do you do? Like this guy, just because he didn't hit at 19 doesn't mean he's not going to be awesome. So you've got to jump on as a fantasy owner those teams that just like get real tired of guys real quick if they don't hit. Those are the guys you got to take advantage of. I absolutely love that. Gauthier is phenomenal. I think he has a huge year. Got to move on. Jackson Blake is your next guy. Why is Jackson Blake a guy we should have our eye on?
Well, Jackson Blake, 2 reasons. First reason is really, again, I'm going to back this up with stats. He played a lot in the playoffs. I mean, we all watch Florida just absolutely pulverize everybody, but they a couple of for maybe a period or two at Carolina looked like they may have had an answer. This guy was a big reason for that. And current coach Brendan Moore gives him power play time in the playoffs too. So the comps that jump out at me right away for that, and again, two players we've talked about a lot on this pod, Wyatt Johnston and Matthew Nyes, who seem to make their debut on their respective teams in the playoffs. It's kind of what we saw from Jackson Blake. So overall, he played 15 games, playoff games, 6 points, but 2 power play goals. So he was out there on the power play in the playoffs when it's the most important time in that team's season to score, your best odds of scoring, and Brendan Moore sending him out on the ice. So I like that. I'm so that's all I got for stats. Then they go out and
but that doesn't
sign
matter
him.
though. That's all you got is stats, but you're seeing the coaches believe in him.
Exactly.
I've said this so many times for NFL football, especially on the defensive side. I do a lot of IDP shows where I play individual defenders, and I'm like, guys, don't look at the overall stats. Look who was playing in the playoffs.
Yeah.
If you had a rookie safety or a second-year safety who was getting all the snaps in the playoffs but didn't start all season, what does that tell you? They love this guy. He learned the system. Now he's going to be the guy next year.
Yes.
You got to read the tea leaves. The coaches are telling you. They're not even making that hard. The fact that he played as much as he did and played as well as he did, I 100% agree with you. He's a guy, to me, under the radar right now. I think people know about him, but he's a little under the radar in the fact that I don't think people realize, like, this team, like, when it came down to it, they were, like, kind of turning to him a decent amount, which means, to me, he should be going into this season with a pretty decent chance to up all his playing time and all his stats.
Yeah, and Carolina historically they haven't. There's some weird thing going on. I can't remember the name of the GM escapes me now, but he's got some algorithm that he puts these guys through. And the last thing I'll say about it is they signed him to a decent term contract, so it's not a little kind of as they call them bridge contracts. It takes him through his RFA years and then gets him to whatever the age is or whenever that falls off. It actually goes beyond that. So it could look to be a great deal if this guy really is who he seemed to be. But for the fact that of all teams, Carolina, again, the history is they didn't pay Jake Gensel. Well, he jumped out. Rantanen, that kind of fell apart. He's out. They did sign Ehlers, but then they pick up this guy. There's something there. So to your whole point about this guy played in the playoffs, NFL, we got a starting safety. It's kind of same thing with this Jackson Blake guy. There's something that the organization's seeing to pay him and to start him. So to me, that speaks volumes. Let's keep an eye on
I agree with you because I think Carolina, if any organization's like, we want to pay the guys we like that fit our system, I feel like it's Carolina. They'll pay guys that nobody else would pay the same amount because they're like, no, they fit our system.
Yes.
They'd rather have those guys than overpay guys that don't fit their system that are maybe more talented players. Yep. But we've seen that from Carolina at this point. So I think that's an absolute great call. Let's jump on to another guy. Gotta love it, another Swede, Eklund. I've been all over the Eklunds. If you've been drafted, I've been all over a lot of the Eklunds here in the rookie draft season. I will tell you that.
Yeah. William Eklund, San Jose. We talked about San Jose before. We talked about Misa. This guy, he's going to be the Yari Curry kind of. I can't remember how the quote goes, but it's like a toaster oven could get 20 goals if they skated on a line with Gretzky. Eklund is absolutely talented, though. He's far from a toaster oven, but I think he's just going to benefit probably the most. He's got the most NHL experience. He's got the line one eligibility. I don't know what he's like in the locker room. If you're Swedish guys are leaders, or if they're more kind of silent leaders, or whatever they are. But he's going to see the ice time, and he's going to play with some generational talent with Celebrini, with Will Smith, with Misa. I mean, it's pretty deep, and this guy's just going to be on the ice, and maybe he's Joe Pavelski, who's just deflecting everything in the net and getting 50 goals a year. Who knows? But see a lot of things out of him. Don't sleep on Eklund. He should go.
He's a family guy. Some of these younger guys, when they've been getting beat up by the older brothers and the dad all their lives, they crush. I like him, man. His dad, Christian, 11 years, 11 seasons he played in the NHL. His brother Victor is on the Islanders. He was a first round pick, 16th overall in 2025. This is a talented family, talented group. He's the 7th overall pick in 2021. I mean, I like this guy a lot. And again, I think, Aaron, I feel like we're going to repeat ourselves all season.
Yeah.
I think the San Jose team is going to be so freaking fun to watch They're not going to win a ton of games. Let's just be honest. They're not. They're not going to win a lot of games. But, man, they got a lot of young talent. And for fantasy purposes, they should be great. We're going to be sitting there every night going, over goals. Let's take over goals. Let's take over 6.5 over. Let's live bet it. Let's 7.5. Oh, let's it's 4-2 after one period. Let's go 8.5. We're going to be live betting that left and right because I think this team has got a ton of offensive talent. They're young. They're going to make a ton of mistakes and get scored on, but they're also so talented. They're going to put up points. So I'm jumping in on a lot of these San Jose guys. So I like that call a lot. Last two to finish out the show, Matthias Maselli. What are you thinking about him?
This one is the riskiest thing I got on this whole list. So Matthias Maselli didn't really do a whole lot when he was with, Utah now, Utah Mammoth, Phoenix Coyotes, Desert Dogs, whatever you want to call him. Kind of got lost in the shuffle there.
Kind of like Desert Dogs. That's kind of
yeah.
I do. It's kind of a great name.
My favorite. That's my favorite. So
sorry to cut you off. As my protest for Utah not being the Yeti in our Dauber League, we usually go with old school teams that are defunct teams, and we try to take their names. I said, no, I'm doing the Wyoming Yeti. I'm like, Utah and Wyoming, we're going to fight it out. Now we're the Yeti, and you guys are the Mammoth, and we're going to win. So I've got the Wyoming Yeti as my team name because Utah screwed it up and didn't get the Yeti name, as they should have. I will say Mammoth was my second choice, so at least they didn't totally blow it.
Yeah.
At least they didn't totally blow it, but they should have figured out how to deal with Yeti. I still think Yeti coolers, cups, they blew that mother so bad. Could have got a name arena. We could have been everybody in the house had a Yeti. I mean, I just don't understand how we didn't figure this out. It's the worst. I'm telling you right now, it's the worst marketing blunder in the last 20 years. Like this could have been a huge hit. But I digress. We'll get back to the show. But Wyoming Yeti is my team, and we're gonna crush. And I have an awesome Yeti as my team picture. So jump back in. I'm sorry, Aaron, as I get all fired up.
No, you got it.
Let's talk about Maselli.
That's a big miss. You got to correct it. So I love the team naming convention. Absolutely. And who doesn't want to make more money? This was a win-win situation. Well, anyway, yeah. But Maselli, he just again, there was so many prospects, so many guys coming up. Again, I'm going to save what I think of Utah, which is very high. I really think they're going to do well. And I kind of teased it in the last one. They may be one of the surprise picks for a wild card. We'll see how things go. But Maselli, just whatever it was, just never had that chance to shine. Well, he's going to be put right up in the spotlight, going right from a team that doesn't have a home, that plays in front of college kids, that's now in Utah or wherever they're at. Now he's going to go to the Toronto media, like you were saying earlier, like some of these small town or these small country Europeans that come over, they play in New York, Montreal, Toronto. Sometimes it can be soul crushing, but so he's going to be put right on there. He'll be probably skating with Matthews. Maybe, I don't know if he's going to be what line he'll be on, but already a well-established team. Matthew Nyes has shown us who he is. You got Tavares is going to hang around. He took a team-friendly deal. I still think regular season Toronto's a very potent team. That's why I've got this guy. But again, he's going to be the beneficiary of playing with very, very talented lines. 1 through 3 is an extremely good deep Toronto team. Last thing I'll mention about Maselli is he shot less than 9%. That's abysmal. That will only get better. His shots will likely increase because of the increase of ice time, but very rarely does somebody stay in that low of a shooting percent. Even if he jumps to 12%, that's still another 8-9 goals a year, which that's a big deal. That's a lot of goals, and he'll do well.
Yeah, he has the ability. He's shown to be an assist machine over the years when he can in certain groups. So if you get him on a good line in Toronto, he could be sneaky good. He could be sneaky good with some of the talent. And like you said, Mitch Marner's gone. There's going to be some guys that have to fill in there and get some points. Those points are just going to completely disappear out of nowhere. So that's a nice one. finishing off the show for tonight. Thank you, everyone who's joined us. Finish it off. Give us your last guy here on your breakout season candidates here. Forwards only. We did on this segment. Breakout season candidates. Who's your last guy?
The last guy is another Russian, so shout out to Toast, but Pavel Dorofeyev, who is in Vegas. You just perfect segue, unplanned, but you talked about Mitch Marner. He got out of town in Toronto. Where'd he go? He went to Vegas. What's Mitch Marner do? He passes the puck. What does Jack Eichel do? He passes the puck. These are pass first guys. What does Dorofeyev do? He never passes. He shoots the puck.
Never passes.
He never passes. 35 goals and 12, 13 assists. Like he's if he's not shooting, he's not touching the puck. He's not going into the corner to dig it out. He's going to be the guy in the Ovi spot waiting to shoot it. I love it. The fantasy, the projection of this. So I actually put this in to Chat GPT and I said, just, hey, predict based off whatever predictive model, and who knows, you can do this with whatever, choose your favorite AI and stick it in there. They actually had him, and I'm not kidding you. I can't quote it exactly. I saved it. I screenshot it. I'll send it to you after. They said 50 goals for Dorofeyev. So I think that's a little high. I'm not going to get too ahead of myself.
It's a little high, but that could
happen.
That could be legitimate hittable.
Yes.
Dude, he was 35 and 17 and 16 minutes of game time last year, and now he has a ton of pass first guys around him. Like, if I was a coach, I'd be like, oh, the dude that just shoots every time? Well, let's take the guys that are freaking amazing assist guys that set him up and just put him with that guy and let him just hammer shots. It is a high bar at 50, but it's not the craziest thing ever. Aaron, write it down right now. We need to look up before the season starts what his over-under goals is, and we might have to jump on that bet if we can find an over-under goals for him. I'm already kind of liking that. I kind of like that already, man.
We go.
Juicy.
I'll tell you what, we do that. We throw some decent change at that, and then we go over on every San Jose game, and we just track our stats. We'll share it with the listeners. We're going to give every listener on here. We're going to give you winners this year, just like we did last year. Just like
we got on a hot streak last year, people. We got on a hot streak. If you guys followed
almost
us,
retired.
There was a month-long hot streak where we were just hammering. So follow us as we're finishing up the show. Thank you, Aaron, for those. So go back, check it out. If you just are picking up the show or you missed a lot of the show, go back, watch it on YouTube. You also can listen to it on all your favorite podcast platforms tomorrow. In this episode, we went over impact rookies and breakout season candidates for the NHL season. Obviously, check your league. Is it free agent wire? Is it dynasty? Is it category? Where are these guys at? Some of these guys might be out there free agent. If you're starting up something brand new, obviously a little bit different. So always check those things out, people. Please, please, please. Tell me all the time. I'm like, check that out, because so many times we were like, oh, I took this guy. And I'm like, in that league setting? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, no. So always being sure to check that stuff out. Hopefully we'll get Toast back next week. Aaron, thank you. You did a great job tonight. You guys follow us during the season. Make sure you follow us, me at JT Orange, Aaron at Titch4141, and Toast at Toast Clark. Toast always puts out his Toast takes. Then I like to throw in my JT Parlay play of the day. Aaron always is throwing in a little bit to help us out. He's like, I'll give you a little teaser here and there. So always follow us during the season. I have to tell you, Aaron, I haven't put it down a bet in like a couple months here. Like I'm on a dry spell because I've had so much going on and I have not been involved in baseball much this year, watching a few games here and there. But man, I'm like getting all fired up for the beginning of football and hockey season. I'm going to have to get some preseason bets. We always do a big preseason bet show before the season starts. We tell you who we like, certain areas, over, under, goals, assists, team points, who we think we're making the playoffs, who we think is going to win the Stanley Cup. So stick around for that. This time of the year, we're talking all fantasy, but we do a mix of everything during the season. So if you're a first-time listener or first-time watcher here on YouTube, stick with us. We do a little bit of everything for fantasy season. So we'll talk about fantasy teams, players to pick up, players to drop. We talk a little bit about every league, categories, Redraft, Dynasty. We give you a little bit of tidbits on everything. And then our favorite part, the gambling. We love to gamble, so we'll talk to you guys about the gambling stuff as we get the season going. For us here at Fantasy Frames, join us every Tuesday night, 9:30 Eastern Time, 8:30 Central Time. We'll bring you Around the Ice. I hope Toast had a good night. Fun for him. Aaron, me and you got to hang tonight, man. It was great. I had so much fun. Thanks, everybody, for checking us out. Go like and subscribe. Leave us a comment. Please give us a couple stars. Maybe more than a couple stars if you can. That'd help out. Always helps us out. We appreciate it. For Aaron, I'm JT. Check you guys next time. Thanks so much.